Hi everyone, Ace here. I hope everyone is okay and doing well. Today I thought I'd go down a different route because my laptop that I did my gaming on at the moment is currently not as good as it was. I'm going to wait till I get my new laptop to continue my mod plays and that. So I thought I've been trying to learn how to do this for a while and thank God I've learned how to do it. So yeah, I'm going to do an overview on Marvel Unlimited and stuff on like Marvel Unlimited, DC Universe Infinite, like really get into what I think both apps could learn. DC will get done at another date, but just to date, Marvel Unlimited, a little bit of an overview, what I think it could do, what it could learn, and well, what it could build on, should I say not learn, because it's been out for years. I got this in 2018. I cancelled it, got it right back because I missed it. And it's one of my favourite apps. So what this is basically is, I would say if I had to compare this to a streaming service, I would say this is like a Netflix in a way, except in the sense that they'll never leave. Unless they're not Marvel and Marvel's licensed, but again, that is very rare. And also what I would love to see is more Disney stuff on here because Disney owns Marvel, so maybe in the future. I also would like to see omnibuses like DC do, but I'll talk on that later on. So yeah, these are like, this is the homepage, so my continue reading. I actually haven't read or started any of these. Some of these I have started, but some of them I just click in case I lose where I'm up to. So there's continue reading, there's trends and titles, so this changes near enough every week to every day, and then obviously here's the bigger list. So I mean, that's trends, and for now there's usually more. Recommended series, so I'm a huge X-Men fan, so a lot of X-Men stuff. I've actually reviewed a lot of this on my Instagram, but I ended up taking a break because it just burnt me out along with my mods. So yeah, so this is the recommended. So yeah, what I love about it, so you click on it, shows you what you're looking for. There is something I'll explain later because I'll come back on stuff I think that could benefit this. And then obviously you've got more like this. Weird that Powers of 10 isn't like recommended with it, but hey ho. It's not. Oops. So let's go back. So let's see what else is recommended. So yeah, this has a huge update a few months ago, which basically added the Infinity comics like these. So these are basically just like a portrait comic that you just scroll down and read. So it's like a webtoon comic basically. And then you've got new this week, which is weird because they've added some stuff that like were from like 2006, 99. So I have a theory, and I'll get into this later on what I think it might start adding in. And I think in a way I hope it does. So you're getting like anniversary stuff, like this. So like there we are. So I might save that to my library actually because I think I might read that at some point. Marvel Fanfare, Facsimile edition, which I always find they're quite interesting because you learn a bit. Add that to my library too. Yeah, and then obviously Dark Web X-Men. I definitely want to read that at some point. Star Wars, Spider-Man, more Star Wars. So yeah, it's nice to see. That refreshes every Monday, and vintage comics usually come in every Thursday. I don't want to say for definite because sometimes they don't. Like they have just finished Dazzler off. The only Dazzler thing they need is the movie graphic novel, and then Dazzler's all finished. And I think if it weren't for what happened in 2020 with the global pandemic, it would have been finished earlier. There's your Infinity comics, some really good ones. I love the art. I just think they're dead cute. Like I love the Jeff the Dolphin one is just so adorably cute. I have been reading the X-Men, which is quite a lot. I am dealing with a cold at the minute, so if my voice sounds a bit thingy, it's because I've got a cold, chest infection, so yeah. But yeah, I've got that there, and then you've got your event reading guides. Now I love this feature, this is brilliant. Again, I think this could be built on a lot more, and I'll get into what I'd love later on, or what I would love to change. So you've got, like, all that. I think that's brilliant, and obviously it carries on and on. And what I love about it is you can just save to your library, which I'll get into that in a minute, and I'll show you my library. Inside just doesn't work in the UK, which is whatever. And then you've got popular characters. Again, this changes quite a lot. So this, I'm sure, I swear I don't remember the Guardians being number 1. I think it always rotates. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I think it might rotate. And then you've got my reading guides for me. So again, if I had to actually say this like something, I'd say this is more like Spotify in a lot of ways for Marvel Comics. Because it feels like it gets to know you. So I think eventually this will get more. I don't know what. I'll get into what I would like to see. And that's so, yeah. So the series, issues, characters. And again, this is absolutely, you can think of, put it to A to Z, well, most popular. So at the minute, there's these characters, Miracle Man. Millie the model I find quite cute and fun, because I think she's quite an iconic character. She just doesn't have many comics. And then, obviously, I'm guessing they just go in alphabetical order. So I don't even know whether that's, like, thingy. And then if I go to A to Z, obviously, this actually touches on something I definitely want to see at some point. And I'll get into that later, because I really want, like, DC has it, and I wish this was have it, because it has all the character pictures, so it'd be cool. But I'll get into that in a bit as well. Then I'll show you my library. So obviously I'm a huge X-Men fan. So you've got my comics, which are in alphabetical order. And what I love about it, I think this is quite a cool feature. The grid thing has just come back in. So you used to be able to list it. I personally can't stand the list. I prefer grid. I can see at least, like, the first 12 comics that I want to read, or what I might be interested in, because they're in A to Z. Then I've got my lists. Again, A to Z again. Again, more X-Men. Chris Claremont, fantastic writer. If anyone is getting into X-Men, I might do this in a future video, like on where to start with X-Men. Not promising, but it might be an idea if this goes well. Like, Chris Claremont's probably the best starting on point for X-Men. Because I think he is, like, especially them amount of years he worked on X-Men, from, like, 60s up to the 90s. Not 60s, sorry, the 70s. What am I saying? He basically, I think, made X-Men what it was, like, with Doc Phoenix, Days of Future Past, and stuff like that, like some of the biggest iconic storylines, and also some of the most minor story arcs that I wish were told in media, but hopefully we get that with X-Men 97. Then there's a following tab, which I love. This basically just means, like, if I'm following something, so, like, if I'm following X-Men Red. Now, I've put this as recently followed because it's important for newer comics. That's why they're not in any particular order. Again, very X-Men heavy. And just stuff that I might want to read, like Fortnite, X-Marvel, Age of X. A lot of these I haven't read, partly due to either not being completed, or I was doing my mods at the time, so I didn't have enough time, which I will be making more time recently. So Dazzler has just been completed, which I'm made up with, so I can finally read it. Because for years, I think it had issues 1, 39 and 40. So it was, like, not that many. Then you follow characters. So obviously I follow Gambit, Kitty, Rogue, Storm. So I've read... It never used to have this tick. It's just come in recently, and it used to bug me because it was like... And when I remember it upgraded from what it was to this, a lot of reading history just went, and I had the worst panic attack. And there's a lot that I need to catch up on, like Knights of X, because I did stop after a while because it was just getting me so down. Oh, I swear to God, this stylus. So this is where I'm going to false a negative here, and it really bothers me. So, obviously you can't do grid view on these two things, which is annoying. and you can't do the view. Now, I love this because this is one of my favourite features, and I'm getting into downloads in a minute on how I need this in downloads. This is like, I always say this is like Spotify albums and singles. So if you want to view them by like a single CD comic, if you like, I just call them singles because that's the best way to describe this feature. And then obviously if I want them in both, I have the option. I don't want the option because it'll give me massive anxiety. Let me know if you get anxiety over stuff like this, or is it just me that gets a bit like, oh, everything's not in control. So you've got that, and then obviously I've got my stuff. Again, this is all transferred from years ago when I rejoined. And stuff that if there's anything you think I should read or even possibly review for my channel, please let me know and I'll happily review them over on YouTube. Because I want to try and make more of my personality other than modding games, because as much as I love modding games, at the minute I cannot do videos on them, so I'm trying to think of another way of doing this. So yeah, so like a lot of Black Widow, Blink, iconic character, needs to be in the MCU as soon as possible. Classic X-Men, they're quite cool to jump on. If you're a new reader, again, it's just because I've saved it, but you can do full series. So if you're a new reader, I'm going to save that to library and follow it, actually. Not that it makes sense to follow it, because I'm not going to do any new ones. If you're new, I'd actually say read these, because these are like abridged. There's still a story, but there's sometimes like it's just easier to catch up on. You can catch up on so little bits, but without having to read. Oh my god, I think in 2019 I must have read about, I'm on issue 452 of Uncanny X-Men. It took me about 3 years to get there, and I still haven't finished it, but we're now on the Chris Claremont part of the 352 era of that. It was really good. Well, some of the issues, like 400 through, probably 397 through to like 452. Or 450, sorry, because that's where Claremont came back. I'd happily wipe them from existence because some of it was atrocious writing. And there were times I'll never get back. So yeah, I hate that download doesn't have grid view. You can't view it through, say, through thingy like with this. So where I can view this with series issues both, I do think it'll come at some point, but it's annoying because it's like I've got to scroll all the way through. So that's a little bugbear of mine, and that's the current Fantastic Four I'm on now. Because again, these are all downloaded. So I hope that gets sorted out. So things I really want to see in Marvel Unlimited that I think could get added. So say I click on A Babies versus X Babies, such a cute title. So say I click full series. Well, there's only one, so bad example. So say I want to click on, let me think of a comic that has, right, so this would be interesting. Right, so if I clicked on full series of A-Force, I've not read it yet. I'd love to see a download all, so every comic downloads in one go. And that goes for events, series, so it downloads all in one go, like you would download a music album. It would download all the tracks that you've clicked on. So I want to see that for this. At some point, again, I know it's new. A lot of people, I don't think, realise this app was built from the ground up. I think people went in thinking, oh, it's just moved over. It's like, no, I think they've rebuilt the entire structure. So that's why I think a lot of things were missing. I just wish they were more open about that at the time, but again, they've added a lot in since, so I'm not going to really have a go at them, and I think they are trying. So I want like a download all feature. So like if I'm in like a series, or so say for instance I'm on, let me go back off characters. So say I'm in reading guides. This would be a good one because this is almost like a compilation, isn't it really, if you're looking at music. I don't mean to keep comparing it to music, but it's an easy way to describe. So like download all would be a good one. So if it was there and it would go download all. That would be quite cool. Another cool feature, I don't know whether this has ever happened, but I'd love this feature, is say I wanted a variant cover. So say I went on Mr. and Mrs. X. Not the newest one, because again, it's 3 months out. And I'll get on to that in a minute because I have a theory that they're never going to change it, and I will explain why I don't think they're changing it from that. But I do think something from DC will go over, but I don't think that'll be it. So, like, if you were to say download all of it. But if there's a variant cover I like, it should give me the option to see all the covers that were released, and I could make that the default. That would be quite a cool feature. Now, I don't think that will happen. That's just something I would love. At least. Another thing I would like is omnibus and collected versions. So DC has this. Now, they have an ultra tier, which basically means the 1 month out, which Marvel will never do. And they have volumes, trade paperbacks, and omnibuses. So this would just have a trade paperback because it's only 12 issues. Oh, wait, no, I think it may have 2 volumes. I'm not 100% certain, but I know it has, obviously I know it's got a trade paperback, but I'm not sure. So as far as I'm aware, they have 2. So you'd have 2 volumes of it. Oh no, wait, no. You'd have maybe 3. Which is a bit weird, but yeah, it's strange because it says, well, I'm going to go with 2. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And obviously an omnibus version as well, if they have one. I don't know whether this would, but I'm guessing it would. Oh, no, it doesn't have an omnibus. So, yeah, this would have 2 volumes. But then if I go to, like, I don't know, like, a lot of the old X-Men, Fantastic Four, like, Masterworks would be cool on there. So I hope at some point that's something they consider, because it is so, like, on DC, I love reading omnibuses, because if I'm travelling somewhere with family or friends, or I'm on a holiday, I can get an omnibus. It's little less time. It'd just be so much easier to have that option than to just do singles all the time, unless they did, which is my next point. What I want to say is, it was a bit like, not the next point because I've already announced it, but the download thing. So, say for instance, I was going away on a little break in the UK or somewhere, or on a little trip to visit family. I could say, for instance, this showed. I'll just do it on this because this works. So, say for instance, I was on a little travel. I wanted to download, for instance, Age of X Extremist, and thought, five issues, download them, I can read them all there and then, but it'll show like a series, which again, I really want this. I think this will either happen in the next update or the update next, or some update coming in because it feels it makes sense. So that's something I really would like to see more of, is like the omnibus trade paperbacks. Again, a lot of them, if they're only 5, will only have 1, but yeah, I think it would be nice to have because they have everything else. Now, the reason I don't think they'll ever steer away from 3 months is I believe that took Marvel a lot of convincing to do. Now, again, I don't think this went up much. And you've got to keep price in mind. So if they do omnibus and thingy, I would love it to be on monthly. I think they would do something like that because DC do it yearly, so I think they do a clever way. And the only thing is, I think they just bring them in. I don't think we get a 1 month window because I think that would literally kill the entire comic industry in excuse me, in America. Not so much like the UK and that, because like where I'm from, we have like, obviously I'm from Liverpool, so we have like Worlds Apart, Bits and Planet, but they don't live and die by comic sales. They have like, I mean, I'm not saying they don't sell them, they will sell comics, but when I go there, they usually have statues, pop vinyls, so they don't live and die by just comics, whereas I know, or as far as I'm aware, I should say, America has a lot of just comic stores that are local. We've never had them here, not that I know of, so again, if anyone has, let me know. I know in Liverpool, I've never had a comic shop. They've always been like a news agent or a corner shop, which even now, I don't even think they do comics, so it just shows you how far of a shift that's gone from like, say, 2005, 2004, 2002, around that era, where obviously I remember getting like, like, I remember buying Grant Morrison's X-Men run, Ears for Extinction, one of the best comics ever done. Brilliant minds. And just fantastic. It's just a shame how it all ends. But yeah, that was a good comic. Another thing I'd like to see, because it's just popped in me as well, I was thinking, make our own lists and have like a friend code. So I'll explain what I mean here. So say I'm on a list, and say in future, I mean, again, I wish I had grid view, make my own list. So at the minute, while you don't have omnibuses and that, you could make your own version of putting issues together and stuff like that, because for me it's important that you get that. So yeah, I'd love to see that. And if you had a friend code, so I have a friend who's a huge X-Men fan, and say if I said to him, we have this number, say 4542, and we sent that, we could have our own private list. So if we wanted to do like a comic club or something, like a digital one, it'd be so cool. Yeah, I just would love to see that, actually. It'd be cool. And I'd love to see my own list as well. So, because again, that's something DC have that Marvel doesn't. Now, I will be doing a DC one in future on stuff that doesn't have that Marvel has. So they both have things that they can get from each other to make these apps perfect. Again, the only thing I don't think Marvel will have is the 1 month window. And also, I want to make it clear, I think another reason is the 3 month window works with all the arcs. Like, most arcs take about 3 months to wrap. So, excuse me. So it's not, for them, it's like 3 months an arc's done. By the time June comes, you'll have whatever's out now. So it's not that long a wait either. So I appreciate that. Because we do have graphic novels as well. So that's why I'm thinking omnibus and trade paperbacks could just make it in anyway. If they have them, respectfully. And they'd just be every 3 months like it is now, because they probably drop tons on there anyway. What else would I like to see that I'm really intrigued by? So this is a huge pet peeve of mine, and I know this has been brought up, so I'm just going to go right to the end, because I don't want to spoil this for anyone who hasn't read it. I have reviewed this, actually, a good series, but I can't say anything for the newer one. I hate when it does this. Do you ever have a stylist that just plays up? Because I feel to God I do. So, what I hate is... So, obviously, you've got your checklist here. So, it's Marauders, Excalibur. So, what I would love is when I do this... Oh, no, it doesn't. So, it says up next in series. I'd have underneath, say, up next in event or in checklist. And then you'd have Excalibur. Because that would make sense. Not that to me, if I'm being brutally honest, it wouldn't matter. So that would be quite a cool feature to have. So if you're reading events like House of X Powers of 10, it's talking about now. I can't remember with that one if it does that. I feel like I want to check it. House, because what is cool is on events, I think it shows it that way. But I just want to double check to be on the safe side. I wish I could also search within a reading event, that would, like a guide, and that would be quite interesting. Because you can't at the minute, and I know I've put it in alphabetical order, so it's partly my own fault. Oh no, I haven't. Ace says, should be more prepared. Here we are. Is that Walt? Oh no, it's Walt Simpson. Sorry, I thought I said Walt Disney then. But I love all that. I do love all that. I think it's interesting how everything just changes as and when as well. So it's like a real live hub in that respect. Do you know, let's search it because I'm not thinking that all the time. House. I know, I feel like this is on my lists as well, so I'm absolutely fuming. There it is there. So, what I like about it is it does tell you in order, but if I went into... Now, it might do it with this one, and I've read... Well, I scroll down, and then get onto that checklist. So, obviously, we're on... So, it'd be Powers of X, but... It doesn't do it. So, I think that's something I think that needs to be in for people either like myself or people who just want to read it through the choice of what's even if you put recommended reading, wouldn't be a bad one. So that wouldn't be bad. Right, so the next one I want is like widgets. So DC have a widget option, and they also have icon changes. This is what I was saying about the characters earlier. So I want to see, because they have every character you can think of, and if they don't have a picture of them, they'll probably get one. So like, for instance, say I want to have, I don't know, say Abigail Brand or Agatha Harkness. I should be able to go on the app or go into this bit and it'll say icon and change the icon. Obviously with the search bar, because there's so many people. It would be nuts to keep up with. I also, again, going into thingy, so let's just click on Big Bertha because I'm near her. I would love, like, a bio, like, I mean an in-depth. So, on the Marvel website, it says stuff like their most or their debut performance. I know on DC, I believe it does. Again, if I'm wrong, I will correct it in the next video when I do a DC one. So say I click, so say I want Rogue. Now you can search characters this way, but I'd love the icon. So I'll click Rogue. So there's Rogue. So if I'm like, oh, I want a Rogue icon, I can. And obviously there's different versions. But say I click on this one and say I click details, it gives me a little detail about it. But say I wanted, like, it could say here where to start, or comic facts would be cool. And you click on it, it would be like, debut appearance, Avengers Annual, issue 10, her most important role, and that could be like X-Men Legacy or something like that, and it sends you all to X-Men Legacy, the issue she's in. And what'd be good is they could always live update them. So, for example, I know Storm, the goddess of weather and the goddess in general. I absolutely love Storm. She's like up. Jean, Rogue, Psylocke, Shadowcat, and Emma Frost are like top easily. With Emma Frost, not Emma Frost, with Psylocke and Shadowcat really 50-50. So what I love about Storms, is they've just updated Storms by adding X-Men Red at the bottom. Well, it was. I did have it before. But they just added the new X-Men Red in. So it's always updated. So that's important. But like with Storm, it could be like, what they could do is say like first appearance, most important issue, where they feel, again, that could always get updated or have more than one on. Just a little bit more of an in-depth. So if you want to jump in and you're new to Storm, and you can go, oh, well, I want to read, it's like X-Men Red's in there, but it is, like, I think when I was looking at Storm earlier, it showed it in a smaller one, so it might have been different. But again, you can grid view this and all now, which I'm going to do, so it just looks the same for everyone. And again, Gambit's the most. Now again, that's because it's newest first. If I went on most popular, which I might do with these because this might help. So if you're looking to read some of the Storm issues, it says that. But I'd love it in like writing, and if the writing was highlighted in red, it means you could open and click it. So like it's showing you all of Storm's issues that she's in. That issue is one of my favourite X-Men issues, 173. I must have read it about 20 times by now. But yeah, what I'd love is like comic details aside, and it gives you like a bio, what the most important in, what kind of gave them a bigger story arc, if there's any that they've got on their own. So Jean's would be like, interestingly, because they have like 4 different versions of a character. So Jean, I am surmising, will have, let's have a look how many characters they have of Jean. So we've got Ultimate, Dark Phoenix, we've got Phoenix. So we've got Dark Phoenix, but we haven't got Phoenix, probably because that's Jean Grey's thingy. So with Jean Grey, it'd be like iconic moments, the Phoenix/Dark Phoenix saga, because again, it's weird. The other thing I've just noticed as well is it doesn't remember the filter. I'm like, it better really remember that for everyone. That's something that I actually think would be important. And iconically, the most popular one is not the Dark Phoenix saga, which is really strange. And again, it's on here. I could understand if it wasn't. I mean, the majority of images are Phoenix related, but Again, it's good in a way because it helps me think who have they added anymore, because I know X Factor took a while to get added, so yeah. Let me just go back to Jean and see if it remembers that, because that might be something. Yeah, doesn't remember it, so I hope in a way it saves what we've put it as. So again, if someone's new to a character or thingy, they are. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of what Jean looks like in some of the newer comics. Like, she looks like she's 45, but again, there's times I think she looks really old. But I do like Jean. I think she's one of the most iconic. Like, if it weren't for Jean Grey, I genuinely would think there would probably have been years before women had been introduced. And she was treated with respect by Mr. Stan Lee. So yeah, they're just some of my thoughts on Marvel Unlimited. If you have any suggestions, questions, what you want to see, again, I'll be doing this a bit more. I could even do character breakdowns. I'll definitely be doing a DC, and then I'll probably do like DC v Marvel, which is better. What one would I recommend? Obviously with Marvel, there's no difference if you do yearly. If you're in the US, you get like that Marvel Insiders, which is here, and you get awards. But if you're international, then you can't use it. So it's more about like probably it'll save you money. But I think eventually if they do the omnibuses and that, it will probably go on yearly only. But I would love to be proven wrong, and you give a monthly option, because again, that's all I think they would ever add in. I don't think they'd add the monthly window. In a way, I hope they wouldn't, but obviously I'd think it anyway, because I'd like to read the omnibus and that. But yeah, I hope you like my stuff that I want to see from Marvel Unlimited. If you have anything that you can think of that I haven't thought of, and obviously next time when I talk another Marvel video, I'll credit you on the thingy if it's a really good suggestion that I haven't even thought of. Like, yeah, please just let me know. But I hope